see that? I'm supposed to learn music theory with that. That's complete nonsense. That is just... Wait a minute. Wait a minute. You see it? Oh, wow. Hi, my name is David Wallerman. Welcome to this video in which we're going to actually do some work this time. It's not a video that you can just watch. Well, you can if you want to, but if you really want to make the most of this, you need your guitar in your hands, because we are going to learn in this video how to target the right notes, how to build different chords, how to match chords with scales. All that is going to happen in real time if and only if you have your guitar. So I'm going to give you about 5 seconds and I'll meet you right after this. Welcome to this channel, which is all about helping guitar players like all of us find our voice, develop that voice to tell our own personal musical story. And today we're going to learn how to target the notes that really speak to people. So what do I mean by that? I mean by that a note by itself is just a sound. Now that note can become a lot of different things. I say that a lot on this channel, and it's true. The intervals, which is the distance between two notes, is what creates the sense of emotion in music. It can make people happy, sad, anything, fill in the blanks. Demonstration, so that note is just a sound. Now that note played in relation to something else becomes something, and that's where you start to feel things. But there are multiple things that a note can bring to the listener. It can bring this sense of emotion. It could also mean something else. It could mean this. Same exact note, right? Or maybe it can mean this, or this, or this, or this. Same exact note, right? Different emotions. And if you can master the principle that we're going to cover today, you will be a lot closer to your music and you will play with better intent. But for that, we need to learn the master shape, which, yes, if you're a regular on this channel, you should know by now, but quick reminder of that master shape. There are multiple ways to playing that master shape, but we're going to focus on one position. If you're familiar with the caged system, it's the E shape, the E position of the caged system. Let's take a look at that shape. We're going to work in the key of A, which means that A is going to be the note from which we're going to measure all the other notes. The master shape is actually the major scale. I'll show you how to play that, and then we're going to use it in a very practical way. But here it is really quick in the position we're going to use. This is a narrow position because we're using the caged system. I think it's easier to visualize where the intervals are. And here's that shape. We are going to try to play one finger per fret. Now, as far as the fingering goes, really, it doesn't matter that much, but I think that if you can learn how to use the proper fingers on the right frets, it's going to help you in just a few minutes when we're going to build chords. But for now, here's that shape. So one finger per fret means that we're going to use the middle finger as our finger assigned to the 5th fret. So anytime we play that 5th fret middle finger, anytime we play the 4th, it's going to be the index. Anytime we play the 6th ring, and the pinky is going to be for the 7. Here's that shape. We have 2 notes on the 6th string, so that'll be frets 5, 7, meaning that we're going to play that with our middle and pinky. On the next string, we have 3 notes, frets 4, 5, 7, index, middle, pinky. Next note, we have 4, 6, 7. Next one, 4, 6, 7. Next string, second string, frets 5, 7, middle, pinky. and the first string is going to be 4, 5, 7. That has a name, that's the major scale, but for now we'll just call it the master shape for what's coming up next. But let's play that, and as we're ascending that scale, we're going to give it numbers. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And here's something kind of different happens here. Once we get to that 8, that has two names. The 8 could be called 8 or 1. You need to know both. So we'll just do it the first way. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And then we'll start over. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2. All the ones have the same function, which we'll discover in a little bit. So this 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1, these two notes have the same function, and you can replace them without causing any kind of harmonic trouble there. Okay, so that's the first way. So if I ask you to play a 1, you can say which one? This one, or this one? They're all valid options. Or you can see it this way: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, why not? But those have the same function. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8 are the same thing. 1 and 8, same thing. 2 and 9, same thing. 3 and 10, same thing. 4 and 11, same thing, and so forth. Okay, so far so good? Great. So those numbers are very important, and you see them all the time. Those are intervals. So if I ask you to play, a 3 or a third, same thing, well, you got multiple options. 1, 2, 3, right there. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, or 1, 2, 3. Same exact thing, okay? All right, so that's how it works. Okay, we're going to do a quick exercise using that master shape. Make sure that you know that master shape. And we're going to build a chord. A chord is 2 or more notes played at the same time. We're going to play a 3-note chord, which is also known as a triad, with a 1, a 3, and a 5. Multiple options here. 1, great. 3, 1, 2, 3, okay. Now we need the 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Well, that's an issue here. Why? Because we can't play 2 pitches on the same string on the guitar. On a piano, yes, but on the guitar, no. And that's an important thing to remember, because that's going to explain why some chords, some fingerings of chords on the guitar might not be the proper way, the classically trained way of playing these chords, just because of fingering issues. But they have the same exact function. Just keep that in mind. So you've got multiple choices here. Because we can't play the 3 and the 5 on the same string, well, let's find another 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That won't work because it's covered by the 3. So 5, 6, 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's a 5. So now we could play 1, 3, 5. Okay? At the same time. So with the pick, it's kind of hard here, but in essence, that's the triad that we can play. That's one option. We've got 1, 3, 5. 5 right there. Okay? Now that 5 can also be called 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. That could be called a 12. We never use that term, but in essence, it's the same thing. Okay? So this chord, 1, 3, and 5 an octave high. Oops, sorry. 1, 3, 5. And this one, 1, 3, 5. Same type of chord, okay? You can use both at will. But there are other options. Maybe we can play, instead of playing the 1 here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and now we have the proper order, 1, 3, 5. That's another way of playing that chord. You can play this one or this one without the pick. Same function, right? It gives you the same feeling. So even though we can't always play the chords in the classically way of playing chords like you would on a piano, on the guitar, same function. So that's where you have freedom as a player. Okay, let's continue a little bit. Let's build a chord this time, or use this as our basis, 1, 3, 5. That chord shape, 1, 3, 5. Now I want you to play 1, 3, 6. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 3, 6. You're playing another chord, right? 1, 3, 6. Let's continue a little bit. How about 1, 3, 5, 7? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There There you go. That's a 4-note chord. 1, 3, 5, 7. Perfect. Now, one thing that I want to mention, if you're playing with a band, or actually even if you're playing solo, it doesn't really matter, some notes of the chord can be omitted, and that's okay. Why? Because either the band is going to play the missing note of the chord, or even better, the listener who's listening to your piece is going to kind of mentally fill in the gaps. So, you know, if I'm playing something like this, if that's my piece, well, if I'm missing some notes, see, I didn't play all the notes here, but you kind of filled in the gaps. So that's an important thing to remember. You don't have to be so particular about playing every single note when you're reading a chord chart or something like that, because the listener is going to fill in those blanks. It's a matter of you deciding which note you want to target. Maybe the melodic idea that is going on behind the chord is going to direct that choice, but you've got options. Okay? All right, let's continue our training a little bit. We've got this is going to be called our basis, okay? 1, 3, 5. Could we play something with 1, 4, 5? Yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. There we go. That's a chord. 1, 4, 5. 1, 3, 5. 1, 4, 5. Perfect. Okay, let's continue a little bit. Let's talk about some of the missing notes, because you noticed that if we play 1, 2, there's a note in between there, right? So there's that one. Or 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Between 4 and 5, there's a missing note. We need to name those. We're allowed to play them. They also have a name. And that's where adjectives are very important. An adjective, 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 adjective. Words you add to a word to make it more detailed. All the notes that are built into that master shape, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, or 8, 9, 10, however you want to see it, all these notes have built-in adjectives, adjectives. Why? Adjectives? Leave it below in the comment. How do you pronounce that? I don't know. Adjective. How's that? Okay, so the terms that we're going to use here, all the notes that we had, all the numbers, are either perfect or major. Okay, cool. So that means that this one could be major or perfect. Well, there's a rule here. All the notes in the shape are major except for the 4 and the 5 and the 1. Those are perfect. So 1, 4, 5. Easy way to remember it. You know the blues typical chord progression. That's a 1, a 4, and a 5. Those are perfect. So 1 is just 1. It's perfect. It's great. It's 1. If I ask you to play a fourth, well, you know it's a perfect fourth. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay? Now, if I ask you to play a major fourth, don't play anything because that doesn't exist. If I ask you to play a major fifth, doesn't exist. If I asked you to play a major second, well, that's the second from my shape, 1, 2. Okay. If I ask you to play a major seventh, that's in the shape, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, right there. Let's continue our training. So now we're going to add these precise words to the numbers just to get used to them. All right, let's go back to our master, using our master shape with the triad that we used, that 3-note chord with the 1, major third, perfect fifth. Okay, so instead of saying 1, 3, 5, which you can, we're going to say 1, major third, perfect fifth. Okay, now could you, using these strings 4, 3, 2, could you play a chord with a 1, a major third, and a major sixth? Yes, you can, because 1, 2, 3, that's the major third, 4, 5, 6, which is major, so it'll be this chord right here. On strings 4, 3, 2, that'll be frets 7, 6, 7. Okay, great. Now remember I told you about the missing notes in between? Let's name those. That is called altering an interval, altering one of these notes. And there is another word that we can add to make a major something else. And that's minor. The opposite of major is minor. A major thing is a big thing, a minor thing is a smaller thing. So we need to reduce the distance between a major interval, 1 fret, to make it minor. Great. So if we want to play a minor sixth, for example, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, that's our major 7, 1 fret lower, minor 7. Great. What about a minor sixth? I want you to play that. So the 1 is still A here. Play a minor sixth. So follow your shape, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, which is major, 1 fret lower. You should be playing this note on the 4th string, 3rd fret. Why? Because 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, which is on the 4th string, 4th fret, 1 fret lower, that's the 3rd fret. Okay, what about if this is our 1? Same thing, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1 fret lower, minor 6. Okay, awesome. Now let's continue a little bit. We're going to go back to our original chord here, 1, 3, 5, 1 major 3rd, perfect 5th. And I want you to replace the perfect 5th with a minor 6th. Okay, so the chord you should be playing now is this one right here. Because 1, 2, 3, major 3rd, 4, 5, 6 is major, minor 6 is right here. So we are replacing the perfect 5th with a minor 6. So we got that chord. On strings 4, 3, 2, it'll be fret 7, 6, 6. So you can build chords now. Awesome. What about the 4th and the 5th? I told you that those intervals are perfect. So we can't make a 4th or a 5th minor. That doesn't exist. There's another word that you can add to the perfect 4th and the perfect 5th. As a matter of fact, there are 2. You can alter a perfect interval 2 ways, either by augmenting the distance, augmented is the word, or diminishing the distance, diminished, like that. So if I want to play a diminished 5th, for example, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, which is perfect, 1 fret lower, that's a diminished 5th. Often called flat 5, the B sign, flat 5, that's diminished, the symbol for diminished, or one of them. And we're diminishing that distance 1 fret. What about an augmented 4th? Augment, bigger, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1 fret higher, there it is. Hey, that's weird, because diminished 5th, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, which is on the 5th string, 6th fret, and augmented 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1 fret higher, it sounds exactly the same. 2 notes, 2 pitches that sound exactly the same but they have different words. That's called something. That's called enharmonic. Just a word. Okay. So why can we have 2 names here? Well, this is not the topic of this lesson, but in a nutshell, when you're building chords or scales, you don't want to use 2 of the same types of numbers. So you can have, typically, you don't want to have a scale that has a perfect 4th and an augmented 4th. But you want to name that sound of the augmented 4th, so you'll call it diminished 5th. And that's how we can get into double diminished and all that kind of thing. But that's the topic for another lesson. Just keep that in mind. As long as you can, as long as you can play any of these intervals, you're good to go. And that's what we're going to do. All right, let's play a little game here. We're going to use the same master shape. We're in the key of A. And I'm going to name an interval. We're going to start with the 1 right here on the 6th string, 5th fret. And I don't want you to play the scale. I don't want any note to be heard. You can, if you want to do the movement, but I don't want you to play the note. I want you to play the landing note, which is the minor 7. So follow your master shape, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. You know that within the master shape we only have perfect and major intervals. Make that 7th, which is major, minor. You should be playing right now the 4th string, 5th fret. Because 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, major, minor, right there. Okay, minor 7, or flat 7, same thing. Okay, how about the augmented 11th? 11 and 4, same thing. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Augmented 4th, where are you playing that? Well, you should be playing the 3rd string, 8th fret. Because 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 in the master shape, which is perfect 11. 11 and 4, same thing, because you could do 8, 9, 10, 11, or 1, 2, 3, 4. Augmented 11 is 1 fret higher, 3rd string, 8th fret. Okay. Awesome. We're ready for the next part of our training. Okay, we're going to use the same exact tools to build scales this time. Same exact principle. Each scale has its own dedicated formula or blueprint. That's what makes a scale different from the other one. And the formula is basically a series of numbers, of intervals that give you that blueprint of the scale. So we're going to be in A, so A is our 1, and I want you to build a scale with a 1, which is A, low E string, 5th fret, major 2nd, a minor 3rd, a perfect 4th, a perfect 5th, a major 6th, and a major 7th. So if we compare that new blueprint that I just named, that I just gave you, it's just like the master scale that we used with one note that is different, and that's the 3rd. So very close, but instead of having 1, major 2nd, major 3rd, you have minor 3rd, 4th, 5th, major 6th, major 7th. So that's our scale. Cool. Sounds good, right? Okay. Let's try another one. Here's the new blueprint. The new blueprint is 1, major 2nd, major 3rd, augmented 4th, perfect 5th, major 6th, and major 7th. So again, only one note changes here. This is what you should be playing. 1, play it with me and compare the sound. 1, major 2nd, major 3rd, augmented 4th, perfect 5th, major 6th, major 7th. That's our scale. So you can build scales now, right? Of course, these scales have names. The names is the easy part. Or maybe not the easy part, you just have to commit it to memory. Every scale should be assigned to a dedicated formula or blueprint. This happens to be the Lydian mode, the Lydian scale, but it doesn't matter, right? As long as you can find those intervals on your own, you're good to go. Now, how can you match chords and scales? Well, there is this, I'll call it a rule, even though I don't like to say that in music there are rules, because if every music that you hear had strictly these rules, then it would be a pretty boring world. We can break these rules, of course. But traditionally speaking, especially coming from a classical background, you want to match musical elements, because that's when you match musical elements, and I'll explain what it means, the listener is going to relate to what you're saying really easily. There's no stretch of the imagination. The listener's mind doesn't really have to be trained for that. It's simple when things match. When they don't, it can sound great. It happens all the time with the blues, for example. It's a different story, but if you match elements, most people, most listeners are going to appreciate the harmonic content of what you're playing most of the time. So what do I mean by matching musical elements? I mean that if you have a chord, let's go back to our chord that we use, the triad, 1, major 3rd, 5th. And if you wanted to build an improvisation or a melodic idea, well, you need to find a scale that matches this, which means that the scale you're going to use needs to have the same 1, which in this case is A, needs to have the same type of 3rd, which in this case is a major 3rd, and the same type of 5th, which is a perfect 5th. In other words, if you were to play a scale that had a 1 and a minor 3rd, that minor 3rd that you're playing in the scale doesn't match the 3rd of the chord. And together, it creates what we call a cluster. These two notes are very, very close, and that creates a little bit of tension. It's heard a lot. It doesn't sound horrible. It can sound great. That's what happens in the blues all the time. But typically speaking, we're going to try to match musical elements, which means that the richer the chord, the more notes found in the chord, the less options you have as a player, as a guy who improvises over there as far as which scales you play. And not only that, but if you're playing over a chord progression, multiple chords, you're going to take all the notes from each chords, put them in a big bucket, reorganize them from the 1, and that will give you pretty much the scale. And the more chords you have, the less options you have as a player. That's kind of how it works. Now, let's try to, on that chord, 1, major 3rd, perfect 5th, to find a possible scale. There are multiple options. The only rules that we're going to set ourselves is to have the same root, the 1, the same type of 3rd, which is major, and the same type of 5th. All right, so one option would be to simply use the master shape that we had. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, because all these notes, intervals, are major or perfect. And the notes found in our chord are major or perfect. We've got a perfect 1, a major 3rd, and a perfect 5th. So the master shape would work on this. Right? Okay, but there are other options. What about this one? Would this one match? Here's the formula. We're trying to see if that matched the 1, major 3rd, 5th. 1, minor 2nd, major 3rd, perfect 4th, perfect 5th, minor 6th, minor 7th. Would that work? Yes. Why? Because I matched the elements here. That scale, you might not be used to it, but it works because I'm fitting the elements. That scale would sound like this. 1, not a major 2nd, but a minor 2nd, a major 3rd, perfect 4th, perfect 5th, minor 6th, minor 7th. That would work. Gives you a different flavor, but it matches. What about this one? Same chord. Here's the formula. 1, major 2nd, major 3rd, augmented 4th, augmented 5th, major 6th, major 7th. Would that match? The answer is no. Why? Because of that 5th. I said augmented 5th. The augmented 5th is not the perfect 5th. Those are going to clash together. So that's how you match musical elements. So that's really essential in music, whether you're a composer, someone who improvises, someone who just jams with a band or whatever it is. That's really essential, very important. So do this exercise regularly. Get those intervals in your mind. Just have little games. Kind of 1, I want to target the perfect 4th. Okay, perfect 4th is right here. Or I want to build a chord with a 1, minor 3rd. So using your master shape, go to the minor 3rd and minor 7th. There you go. And again, there are multiple options. And those scales are movable. We only use one shape, but I would recommend just using that one shape for now. That's going to train your ear. And it's really going to get you on the right path to being closer musically to what you want to say, to your own story. That allows you to do things like you're writing a piece and then you don't know what comes next. Okay, just sit back, listen to what you have, and imagine what would come next if I had something like this. Ba 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 dum. That's my next part. Da 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 da. It really helps you in many, many ways. At first, it might take you a little while, but eventually it's automatic. Just like when you're talking, you listen to the language and then you say it automatically after a while. That's what I had for you today. You can download that master shape on a PDF file. That's going to help you really consolidate that. You can just print it and take it with you anywhere. The link is below in the description of this video. It's free. Just enter your best email address. I'll be sending you that right away. And also a free course that is going to train you a little further with this. If this was your first visit to the channel, thank you very much for stopping by. You should consider subscribing if you like this, because every week 3 videos like this one come out on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, helping guitar players like all of us find our voice, develop that voice, and learn how to carry that voice, not through the mouth, through the fingers and through this, our pencil. This is our pencil. That's how we tell our story. The story comes from inside, not from this. We're going to learn how to use this, and that's the key. Intervals are really important. Thanks so much for watching this video. Share it around if you know a friend who might benefit from this. Practice well, rewatch this several times. It really is going to do wonders to your playing. Practice well. I'll see you next time.